For as long as most of us can remember, Captain Sig Hansen has stood among the toughest men on the Bering Sea. Fans of Deadliest Catch have followed him for over 20 years, admiring the grit, the judgment calls in brutal weather, and the stubborn will that keeps a boat and a crew moving when the world turns to ice. The journey has been a whirlwind, but recent months have put Sig himself in the headlines: health scares, candid confessions, and a new honesty about fear, family, and time. From risky choices at sea to the moments that shook him on land. Here's the story those headlines have been telling before the cameras ever rolled. Sig was already living the cold, salt-stained life that would one day make him famous. Born in Seattle in 1966, he's the grandson of Norwegian immigrants who built their lives around the sea. The eldest of 3 boys, Norman and Edgar, are his brothers. Sig grew up under the eye of his father, Sig Hansen, a fisherman descended from generations of Norwegian seafarers. Sverre and Sig's grandfather helped pioneer opilio crab fishing in Alaska, giving crab boats a way to earn year-round instead of waiting for a short, late-season window. By age 14, Sig was already putting in long hours on his father's boat, bracing against a cold that can freeze bare skin in seconds. After high school, there was no hesitation. He would fish hard, and he would go where the water fought back. He spent about 10 months per year in Alaska and the Bering Sea, and in summers he sometimes chased mackerel and cod in Norway. He'd even cut school to go fishing as a kid. He started as a deckhand before he was a teenager, climbed every rung, and by 22 he was a relief skipper on the Northwestern, filling in for other captains and taking short hauls on boats around the fleet. By 24, in the early 1990s, he was running the Northwestern full-time, a 125 FT steel workhorse that would become a reality TV star. In 2005 King Crab and 2006 Opilio, Northwestern won the final Derby seasons on Deadliest Catch, leading the featured boats in both poundage caught and dollars earned. 2005 was also the year Discovery launched the series, and Sig slid into the role he was born for, a sharp-tongued, competitive, unshakable captain whose job was to beat the sea without breaking his crew. Over the years, Northwestern became a top producer with a sterling safety record, no loss of life at sea during Hansen's tenure, and 2 decades on, the only boat to appear in every season. Fans talk about her as if she's a character, the bright blue paint, the stacks of crab pots, and Sig in the wheelhouse, calculating every move. Then the headlines changed. In 2016, viewers watched in shock as Sig suffered a massive heart attack while filming. Many assumed he'd slow down. Instead, he returned the very next season, looking nearly indestructible. But in 2024, concerns surged again. In interviews with Fox News and others, Sig described a sudden severe ear and sinus infection that caused his face to swell overnight. "If I had been out at sea, I don't think I would have made it," he admitted. A blunt confession that rattled fans who thought nothing could dent him. For a man who laughed in danger's face, Sig was, for the first time, speaking openly about his own mortality and about the reality of being hundreds of miles from a doctor when something goes wrong. By August 13, 2025, the headline read, "Deadliest Catch Star. Sig Hansen confronts mortality after life-threatening health scares at sea." He spoke about how the 2016 heart attack and the more recent infection shifted his focus toward family. At 59, after decades fighting the Bering Sea, he could finally say it out loud. He wasn't afraid of the ocean, but he was no longer pretending to be invincible. Sig recounted one near miss that still chills him. He was set to take Northwestern to Seattle, about a 7-day trip, when his brother offered to run the boat so Sig could fly home. Just before leaving, Sig slipped on ice and smashed his nose. He shrugged it off and flew. The next morning, his face ballooned. "Like a golf ball out of my nostril," he said. He yelled to his wife, "Did you poison me?" She got him to the hospital where doctors immediately injected antibiotics. One told him, "Another few hours and you would have been gone." If that infection had hit at sea, he doubts the Coast Guard could have reached him in time. One small fall, one tiny opening for bacteria, and everything could have ended. Sig's health wasn't the only worry. He's been married to June Hansen for over 20 years, and in 2019 he revealed June's cancer diagnosis on Deadliest Catch. "It sounds like my wife has a form of cancer," he said during season 15. "We do know that this area on her neck is cancer. We just don't know if there's more." Ahead of season 21 in August 2025, Sig told Parade that June was stable and focused on her health, working out every day, especially swimming in their pool. The double scare, his and hers, pushed him further toward the obvious conclusion: slow down, spend more time together, and make up for years when fishing swallowed 6 months at a stretch, sometimes 8 to 10 months out of a year. Sig and June's family includes daughters Mandy Hansen and Nina Hansen, both adopted, and 4 grandchildren. Headlines also resurfaced older, painful news about his daughter Melissa Ekstrom from his first marriage to Lisa Ekstrom. Melissa made allegations about her childhood in reporting by the Seattle Times. No criminal charges were brought. Sig denied the claims. A 2018 civil filing followed, but the outcome is unknown. Through it all, Sig has kept his focus on healing, home, and forward motion. With everything changing, Sig began speaking more frankly about decisions he regrets. He admitted that sometimes he let ego steer the boat. "It was the icing down that was ego-driven," he said. "When you're chasing money and greed shouts louder than common sense, it's not good." He still carries the memory of a crew injury from his early captain days. He was around 27 to 28, during a storm's aftermath. He saw a wave coming but didn't hit the alarm in time. It slammed a deckhand across the steel and injured his back. The deckhand fully recovered and returned to fishing, but the moment marked Sig. It taught him that life and death changes happen in seconds, not minutes. From then on, he never played music in the wheelhouse while fishing and kept his attention locked on the water. There were other scares, sub-zero icing that threatened to bury the boat, and a fire on board, caught on camera, made even worse because Mandy was there. If that fire had started an hour earlier, he said, we would have been in serious trouble. The crew's readiness saved the day. Between the 2016 heart attack and the grief after the loss of the FV Destination in 2017, Sig seriously considered walking away. But the sea still had its call, and he answered, more cautiously and more aware of the stakes. As the headlines multiplied, Deadliest Catch star Sig Hansen rethinks retirement plans. Fans wondered what would come next. Sig made it clear he wants to give more time to June, to Mandy, and to the grandkids. No official retirement date has been announced, but the fact he is speaking about it openly means it's real. Meanwhile, Season 21 packed some of the show's most intense moments yet, with Sig still in the middle of everything. For the first time in years, he teamed up with old rival and friend Captain Jonathan Hillstrand of the Time Bandit. Together, they pushed west toward the remote waters off Adak Island, a risky bet with wild weather, long distances, and unpredictable crab populations. But for Sig, the trip was personal too. Those are the waters his father fished decades ago. Bringing Mandy along made it a bridge between past, present, and future. Now I can prove to Mandy and her husband that it really happened, he said elsewhere. Captain Jake Anderson's Titan Explorer suffered a dangerous ammonia leak, forcing an abandoned ship and triggering a rescue by Keith Colburn's Wizard. Sig and other captains listened over the radio, hearts pounding. The brightest news? Mandy Hansen Patterson took the Northwestern out on her own for a key run, the first time without Dad at the rail. Sig watched from shore, proud and anxious in equal measure. I don't think she let anybody talk her into anything, he said. She showed she could handle it. If Sig does step back one day, it's not hard to imagine Mandy taking the wheel for good. The sea gives and the sea takes. In 2024, former crew member Nick Mavar, once Sig's right-hand man, passed away at 59 after a medical emergency. The list of losses is heartbreakingly long. Nick McGlashan, Phil Harris, Tony Lara, and more. Men who paid the deadliest price to bring crab to market. Sig doesn't look away from the truth of it. He's talked about heavy icing that nearly sank Northwestern and boats that simply vanished in storms. No captain is invincible. That's the fundamental lesson. One the Bering Sea teaches again and again. The major headlines say it plainly. Deadliest Catch captain confronts mortality after life-threatening health scares. And Sig Hansen rethinks retirement to spend more time with family. Fans respond with a mix of worry and admiration. Many say they'd rather have Sig healthy on land than risk another crisis at sea. These days, Sig posts more photos with family, talks about balance, and admits what once would have gone unsaid. Time is fickle. The sea doesn't care about headlines. It never did. It's up to captains like Sig Hansen to decide how and how long to fight. After so many triumphs and so many close calls, he's choosing to be both the captain on the water and the man at home. What are your thoughts on Sig Hansen's journey and the health scares that changed his outlook? Share your take below. If this story resonated, give it a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe before you go. And don't miss the other videos on your screen.